I'm sitting here today with Joachim. Joachim has lived in Thailand for many years and has been with Bakarat since the start. I don't want to give too much away. He'll tell us his story himself in a bit. We're making this video as a short interview with Joachim. I'm Max, 43 years old, and I've been living for quite a while now with my wife and our daughter on Phuket in Thailand. And we've met up here in Surat Thani. To learn a bit about Joachim's experiences, what he's experienced at Baccarat Entertainment in the 3.5 years since the beginning of May 2022. Joachim, a very warm welcome. First of all, thank you for taking the time and especially for being so open to doing this interview with me. Why don't you introduce yourself briefly? Who are you? How old are you? And also, what brought you to Thailand back then?
Yes, hello, Max. Well, I'm also happy that you're interviewing me. And yes, I've been in Thailand for 16 years now. I once got stuck here during a tour of Southeast Asia, but that was 30 years ago now. And then I spent 14 years constantly commuting back and forth. So always spending the winter in Koh Samui back then still. I met a woman and then there was a daughter. And when the daughter was 5 years old in 2009, I moved to Thailand for good.
So almost 7 years now permanently in Thailand. You said you live, or no, you've been jumping back and forth for 16 years now. So you were in Germany and you were in Thailand. So what's kept you here now? Your daughter, I think you said?
Yes, well, the main reason was my daughter.
Okay, and beyond that, maybe quality of life, freedom, work? Or what exactly was it besides your daughter where you said that's what Thailand gave you, that you stayed here?
Yes, I just liked it here right away, right from the get-go. And well, then for the first 14 years, it was always back to Germany. Always. And now for the last 16 years, I've been here completely.
What did you do before Baccarat Entertainment? Before you came to Baccarat Entertainment, maybe also in those past 16 years before you moved to Thailand permanently?
Yes, well, I trained as a toolmaker after secondary school. And then I got my technical college entrance qualification, then worked as a design engineer in vehicle construction because I'm from near Stuttgart, so vehicle construction is the obvious choice. And then that was the only reason I could always stay in Thailand for so long. And then I also came to Thailand back then with a good financial cushion. And actually, I last worked in 2004. Since then, I've been living off my private means.
Not bad at all. You've been at it for 21 years. You've been with Baccarat Entertainment since the start, so since May 2022. How did you first hear about it back then?
Well, it was a stroke of luck for me. And Andy, he just invited me. He messaged me on Telegram. We didn't actually know each other before. We were in the same project together before. And there was a Telegram group for that. And that's where Andy messaged me because he was looking for some initial backers, people who could help him get his Baccarat project started. And I guess the reason he reached out to me was probably because I was in that group with my full name showing. And I also had a pretty decent profile picture too. Maybe that made me stand out to him just a little bit more. And when he messaged me, I thought at first, well, here comes the next guy trying to sell me something. But he just expressed himself reasonably from the start, wrote a nice message. I replied then, and that was lucky. I didn't block him. And that's how it went. And then, of course, I was skeptical at first. And then, well, who is this guy? So I started by Googling a bit just to get some initial information. And then he told me he wanted $200 from me. After that, naturally, I did a bit more Googling just to be sure. And then I ended up giving him, I think it was $270 in total because I thought to myself, well, he seems like a decent guy. And honestly, the whole communication process with him felt pretty good. Everything went smoothly. And by the end of March, after thinking it over, I told him, yes, I'm in. I felt confident about my decision because of how well everything had gone up to that point. And I really believed it was the right thing to do. And on the 15th, he wanted the money then, so he'd have something in his pocket of April.
Was it in April?
Yes, on the 15th of April. He had to negotiate with the players somehow then. And it's good, of course, if he already has the money in his pocket, because later there are people who say, when it gets serious, well, I don't have any money right now or whatever. And then I paid him the money in mid-April. That went great too. I received a confirmation of receipt immediately. There was no dashboard back then. So it was all via Messenger, manual, normal communication. And on the 2nd of May, it already started. And since then, every week in the black.
So you're really one of the very first ones. You've even been there since the very beginning, before it all started, because you were even messaged before the whole thing launched for the first time. You've already anticipated one of my questions a bit, maybe to add to that. Andy, he's the founder of Baccarat Entertainment, who messaged you back then. What were your first thoughts then? Were there any doubts or skepticism at the beginning for you?
Initially, yes, of course. I didn't know him after all. But we got to know each other then, even if it was just through chat. And what I also wanted to say, back then, it wasn't public yet. It was just a test. He said that right away too. We don't even know if it's really going to work then. And I think we were about 20, maybe 25 people that he had there at the very start, right when we kicked things off. I just thought to myself, well, either it works out or it doesn't. There was a real sense of uncertainty in the air. Maybe the $200 are gone or the 250, whatever. My gut feeling just told me I have to get involved.
Well, with $200, you didn't have the biggest risk there either. So from that perspective, it was manageable then. Why? And especially maybe when you say you didn't know him, you really only knew him from online, knew him from Telegram, so really no contact at all before that. Why did you decide to give it a try? Especially given the background that you only knew him online. What was the point for you that made the difference?
Well, I already knew that there were Baccarat players and that it actually works. So the what Andy calculated for me or what could be expected, that was realistic. I know it works if honest people just start a project like that. Otherwise, it can also go wrong. But if it's carried out properly, it works. The percentages, they are quite realistic.
And it was Andy's manner, because especially when you say, if they're honest people, you had no connection. So you don't know if the person who contacts you on Telegram, and we all get messaged on Telegram daily with something, how do you know that's a person who's being honest now? Was it Andy's manner? Was it how he wrote? Or what was it then that gave you a good feeling?
That was pure intuition.
Okay, well then, I guess that really was some good intuition.
Yes.
What has changed for you over time through Baccarat Entertainment? Were there any aha moments or things that particularly surprised you about it?
Well, actually, there was nothing special. It started up then and it went well from the beginning. Every week we were in the black and then it was made public. I don't even remember, June, July or something like that, after the first test. And then at some point the dashboard came that was also added in the first year. And then I topped it up. And then it still went well. It always went well. But the whole communication was just clean from the very beginning. And then I topped it up again in 2022. And then I just let it run and more or less forgot about it.
Was there anything comparable for you so far in your life, or since you've known Baccarat, where you'd also say that was just as good? Or was Baccarat really the one where you say, no, Baccarat Entertainment, that was really by far the best and most unique thing that's happened to me so far in that field?
Yes, now after 3.5 years, I can say that it's the best.
What has changed for you personally in your time, freedom, income, security, and quality of life? Specifically regarding Baccarat Entertainment?
Well, at first, nothing changed at all because I didn't withdraw anything. I didn't make any withdrawals at all for a period of 2 whole years.
Aha, so that's already a very high level of trust on your part if you don't even say, I'll at least withdraw a part of it, or those $200 you put in at the start to at least get those back. Have you withdrawn anything in the meantime?
Yes, I got into a bit of a difficult situation and then I had to withdraw something. So, of course, it went down again. So the withdrawals always worked perfectly. And of course, my goal is to fill that back up.
Very nice. So you've already given us a bit of a goal there. Why are you still involved today after all these years? What convinced you in the long run?
Well, simply that the whole thing, now there have been a few info calls with Andy and also the long-term planning and security. And it's just a solid project that you can build on. So I tell myself now, the assets I've deposited there are just as safe as in my own wallet. So that's my personal opinion. Of course, everyone has to decide for themselves.
That's exactly what's very important to us. It's also important that you say that. Glad you're saying that. That it's just your personal opinion that we're trying to capture here. What would you say to people today who are interested in Baccarat Entertainment, and who do you think Baccarat Entertainment is suitable for
Well, actually,
everyone? And what would you say now, let's say someone approaches you, what would you tell them if they're interested in Baccarat Entertainment? What are maybe 2 or 3 sentences where you say, this is the reason why it convinced you the most and what advantage or benefit it could bring to someone?
well, the main reason is that, in my opinion, Andy, as the operator, or, well, actually, he's not exactly the operator, but rather he's more like the spokesperson, plays a key role.
The founder.
And also the spokesperson. So I've simply gained absolute trust in Andy now over these 3.5 years. And you can really tell when you see him on the calls how he answers the questions, the whole communication in the group. There are already 2,400 people now. He's got that completely under control too. When I think of other groups, it's not always like that. Sometimes things get out of hand there.
Our little kindergarten.
He's just got it under control, the project. And it also has this future perspective that he'll keep it going for years. Running, or will be running.
He wants to do it for the next 6 years now, before he hopefully passes it on to his son within the family.
Exactly right.
If you were to start over today, would you make the same decisions? And why? Maybe what would you do differently?
When I started, I didn't really know my way around cryptos at all. And I didn't really know yet how you can cash them out and then buy something with them. And I didn't look into it enough at first, because otherwise I would have deposited more right away. Because I always saw it like, yeah, it's growing more and more. I saw that. Nice. And today I asked myself, man, why didn't you deposit more right from the start? Well, but it's also a matter of trust that has to grow too. But today I'd tell everyone, or even myself, I want to top up again, but I'm going all in. Well, personally, I'm also a risk-taking kind of person. I don't want to give that as some kind of advice.
Now, it's about your opinion. Exactly. It's really just about your opinion. Also, like you just said so well, trust has to grow. And that was the question. And sure, if we were all younger again with the same knowledge we have today, then we'd probably shape our lives differently in some places. But that's exactly what I actually wanted to capture here. What would you do differently? Because you have so much trust today, you'd probably handle the platform and your commitment there quite differently.
Yeah, well, I think deposit more without hesitation compared to what I deposited at first. So if I could turn back time now, I'd deposit much more right away.
And you'd have an even better life here.
Yes.
I understand. So I can relate to that well. I also started with $200 back then and now have a high 5-figure amount in there. And I can totally feel that. I think everyone is just a bit skeptical at the beginning. And there are so many great offers on the internet, and everyone always wants to sell you the latest miracle solution. And that there's someone like Andy who runs it so sincerely, you have to get a feel for that first. As a final question, what does Baccarat Entertainment mean to you today personally?
Well, I think it's just fantastic, honestly, because I can simply count on it, I guess. I mean, you shouldn't always count on just one thing, but Baccarat, it definitely holds a very high priority. And for me, if it continues like this, which I expect, it's a leap into financial freedom. That's great.
And it definitely improves your life here in Thailand.
Definitely. I mean, we all need money to live unless we completely drop out and somehow start growing our own vegetables right in the backyard, taking things into our own hands.
Exactly. Great. Joachim, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for taking the time to do this here, for your openness. Please excuse me, my voice is a bit gone. For anyone who says it might be interesting too, what Joachim shared today could be interesting. And if you're a bit interested in Baccarat Entertainment, then contact the person who sent you this video. Or maybe even Joachim himself. Or if you're watching via my YouTube channel, then of course feel free to contact me. In any case, I wish you much joy with Baccarat Entertainment, should you decide to go for it. And don't forget, as always, if you liked the video and the interview, to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for the next video. We're out. We'll continue enjoying our life in Thailand. Say goodbye and take care, your Max.